Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm really glad you're here today. Whether you grew up blasting early 2000s rock on the radio, or you're just now rediscovering it through playlists and throwbacks, today's story is probably going to hit a familiar note. We're talking about Brad Arnold, the unmistakable voice behind Three Doors Down, and why his music has stayed with so many people for so long. Brad Arnold's story starts in a small town in Mississippi, and honestly, that detail matters. There's something about coming from a place where life is simple, raw, and real that shapes how artists write. Brad wasn't trying to be flashy or complicated. He was trying to be honest. And that honesty became the backbone of Three Doors Down sound. Have you ever noticed how some songs feel like they're written about you, even though the artist has never met you? That's the kind of connection Brad's songwriting created. One of the most incredible parts of his journey is how young it all started. Brad wrote Kryptonite when he was just a teenager, sitting in math class, of all places. Let that sink in for a second. A song written in a classroom went on to become a massive global hit, shaping the sound of rock radio in the early 2000s. It makes you wonder, how many ideas do we brush off because we don't realize how powerful they could become? When Kryptonite exploded, Three Doors Down suddenly found themselves in the spotlight. Their debut album, The Better Life, wasn't just successful, it became a defining album for an entire generation. Songs like Loser and Be Like That weren't just catchy. They were emotional without being overdramatic, reflective without being preachy. Brad's voice carried a kind of vulnerability that felt approachable, like he wasn't singing at you, but with you. As the band evolved, so did their sound. Tracks like Here Without You and When I'm Gone leaned deeper into themes of love, distance, and longing. These weren't just breakup songs or slow jams. They were emotional checkpoints in people's lives. Think about it for a moment. How many songs are tied to specific memories for you? A drive home late at night, a relationship, a moment when life felt uncertain? Brad's music often became the soundtrack to those moments. What really set Brad Arnold apart wasn't just his voice, but his restraint. He didn't oversing. He didn't hide behind production. His delivery felt grounded, almost conversational at times, and that made the lyrics land harder. There's power in simplicity, and Brad understood that instinctively. In a world where louder often gets more attention, what happens when quiet honesty speaks instead? Over the years, Three Doors Down continued releasing music, touring, and staying relevant without chasing trends. That's not easy in the music industry. Many bands burn bright and disappear just as fast. Brad and his bandmates stayed consistent, focusing on connection rather than reinvention for the sake of attention. That kind of longevity raises an interesting question. Is success about constantly changing or about staying true to what works? Brad has also been open about personal challenges in his life, including health struggles. Sharing those moments publicly takes courage, especially for someone known primarily for strength and resilience in their music. But openness like that deepens the bond between artist and audience. When musicians show vulnerability, it reminds us they're human too, dealing with fear, hope, and uncertainty just like everyone else. How often do we underestimate the impact of honesty when facing hard moments? Another thing fans often point out about Brad Arnold is his humility. Despite massive success, he's never carried himself like a rock star stereotype. Interviews and fan stories consistently describe him as down-to-earth, appreciative, and deeply connected to the people who supported his music from the beginning. That kind of attitude leaves a lasting impression. At the end of the day, what do people remember more, fame or how someone made them feel? Listening to Three Doors Down today hits a little differently than it did years ago. The songs haven't changed, but we have. Life adds layers to lyrics over time. Lines that once felt simple now feel heavy with meaning. And that's one of the greatest compliments an artist can receive, music that grows with its listeners. So let me ask you this. When you hear a Three Doors Down song come on, where does it take you? Is it a specific memory, a person, a feeling? Music has a strange way of holding on to pieces of our lives, and Brad Arnold's voice has been part of that emotional archive for millions of people. As we reflect on his career, it's clear that Brad Arnold's legacy isn't just about hit songs or chart positions. It's about connection. It's about writing something honest and letting it find the people who need it. And that kind of impact lasts far longer than any trend ever could. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Brad Arnold's story and the music that shaped so many moments, go ahead and give this video a like. It really helps the channel grow. Share it with someone who still turns up the volume when Kryptonite comes on. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that explore the people behind the voices we all know. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Musical notes.